introducing the final inductee. Stephen M. Bass, would you please stand for just a moment so people will know who the hell we're talking about? That is Stephen M. Bass. Stephen, buddy, dude, when I think of you and I see you, I think of Hillside Elementary School, where we began. We were one of the first classes. We were members of one of the first classes at Hillside. I think of Farragut. I think of 8th grade dance class. I think of high school chorus and orchestra, and you were also in band. But one of the things I think most fondly of is the lunchroom. The lunchroom guys, some of whom are here today, the lunchroom table where we would play football with a penny, flicking it, trying to get it to the edge. And I think of those tables, and I look at these tables, and I think how far we've come. But I got pennies, and we're going to teach you how to play in a little while. Ladies and gentlemen, I can cut this very short. The man has won 2 Emmys. I don't have to say anything else. I could read you the program, but Emmys, not 1, 2. And he's also a CEO of public radio and television. He has 20 radio stations and 5 television stations under him. He has a crew of news journalists who are award-winning, Peabody Award-winning. In fact, they recently won a Breaking News Award, tied with the New York Times, so no slouch there. And he's a concert clarinetist, and he plays for the don't tell me, the Vancouver, Washington Symphony Orchestra. No, but actually the achievements in the program aren't the whole story. A lot of Steve's achievements didn't make the program, and that's what I want to focus on. The first thing not mentioned in the program is how the hell did Steve survive that name? Kids are cruel in school. Where's the fish? Oh, it's bass. It's not a fish, it's bass. What's that fishy smell? It's not a fish smell, it's bass. So this guy then grows up and has the courage and the balls to marry Sarah Trout. That's a fact. I was at the wedding, you can look it up. Then he swam upstream and spawned 2 trout basses. So when your father Walter said, there are plenty of fish in the sea, what were you thinking? Also not in the program. His whole life, while we're all gaining weight, he's so skinny. And in school, do you remember when he would turn sideways, teachers would ask us where he went? When he wrestled, his weight class was in the minus numbers. How skinny was he? Ask me. When he went to the showers, he had trouble getting wet. But also not in the program and totally ignored by the Hastings Hall of Fame is his athletic prowess. In kickball and punchball, no one was kicked and punched more than once. Also, not in the program. Even as a kid, he was doing little telethons in his room. He would do a little telethon, and then we would go play at a neighbor's house and come back, which we still do to this day, but we use the remote control. No, I don't want to watch that. Also not in the program, Steve's not that old, but he was praised on the Antique Roadshow, where the experts said he would have been worth more if he still had the original hair. Steve, your wife Sarah texted us, and she said she's very proud of all that you've accomplished, and that she, Katie, and Caroline love you very much. She goes on to say, congratulations and have a great time. I know I am. No PBS the whole weekend. Woohoo! Also, not in the program. Why do you think Steve chose to play the clarinet? It wasn't because he liked it or that he thought he would be good at it. If you look at him, he chose a clarinet because it was light. It wasn't too heavy. It wasn't until senior year that he didn't need the piccolo player to help him lift it. But it was at senior year where Peter DeLuke made you the band leader. And that meant that at the football games you would conduct and you would have them play these big band versions of Mahler's Symphony 2, Resurrection. We didn't do that much. But have you ever really heard Steve play? The sounds that he can make with that instrument. Senior year in the village asked him to round up all the rats. And though it does say in the program that Steve currently plays with the Vancouver Philharmonic, that's because the state authorities said he had to stop playing with himself. So that basically makes sense. So why did I nominate Steve? Well, I nominated him basically because at a time when I'm reinventing myself, Steve took a big risk and invested in my dream, so I owe him money, so that's one reason. Another reason is I nominated Steve basically because I thought it was time he was recognized by his peers, and also because he's pretty much done, he's not going to achieve anything else. Still, it's quite amazing that millions of people listen to Steve's radio, television, and digital podcasts, and in a moment, unfortunately, we're going to have to listen to him too. But before that happens, I'd just like to say that Steve is one of my oldest and dearest friends, and he would be that, even if he wasn't so accomplished, so supportive, so nice, and so totally buff. And presenting you Stephen at Bass.
Yeah, come here.
I have to say that I've been nervous about this for a while, and I usually don't use notes, but I'm going to use some notes today. This over here. And I was thinking, there's something really special about coming back to the place where people knew you when you were young and people knew you when you were a teenager, and that they still want to honor you. There's really something quite remarkable for that. I'll use this mic, that's better. This is a really wonderful community to grow up in, and although I really doubt I appreciated all of its attributes in the mid-60s to the mid-70s when I was here, but here we are in this small community perched kind of on the edge of a major metropolitan city that had all the advantages of both, a close-knit, supportive community, and all of these wonderful things just 15 miles to the south that we took advantage of. And I'm not sure that we really fully understood what we had here. And I'd say that growing up anywhere is a hard thing. It's not easy no matter where it happens. I spent a good part of my high school years in a little bit of a fog. My mother had been diagnosed with cancer about 1971. She died during my middle part of my junior year, and that's a very hard thing for a kid. And I think for many kids that's kind of a defining moment where it kind of sends them spinning out of control. But I have to say that it was this community and it was friends like Alan and Alan's family that really kept me on track. So my life today is devoted to a couple of pursuits, journalism and music, both of which have been developed right here. I now lead an organization in the Pacific Northwest that's at the very center of the news and information ecosystem, and I also have this great opportunity to perform with world-class musicians playing wonderful stuff that I find both a wonderful escape and very relaxing. My musical training began here in the summer after 3rd grade when Peter DeLuke, many of you remember Pete, started teaching me to play the clarinet. He was my band director. He was my mentor for the next 9 years. He promoted me to the high school band when I was in just 6th grade. And I still remember how poorly that gold jacket and green pants of that uniform fit. Some of you will remember that. And I'm so grateful to Pete for his tutelage, for his support, as well as his music department colleagues. Ed Riglowitz, who I work with in the chorus, who was a terrific guy. His daughter Lisa is here. I saw her last night. I'm sure what a terrific guy Ed Riglowitz was. And of course, Larry Hayden, who is my orchestra conductor. We had such a fabulous music program here. I think we still do, but I look around at the number of people of my contemporaries that are professional musicians today, and it is astounding, absolutely astounding. Music's a great escape from journalism. And I would say there's probably never been a more important time to have an escape from journalism than right now. My first introduction to public media also happened here in Hastings when I was a member of the Key Club. And a couple of guys here will remember this. Dave Heston and Jim Schillinglaw, right back there. We all volunteered to answer phones on a telethon, on a Channel 13 telethon. And they may have forgotten this, but I hope they remember. One of the things that happened was we went down to New York, we answered the phones, and we came back, and I got them completely lost in the subway in the South Bronx in 1974, in the middle of the night. I hope you guys forgive me for that. It was a formative experience, but that was my introduction to public media, and I've had these two loves ever since, and they both started right here. Now, my wife, Sarah, as Alan mentioned, couldn't be here tonight, but I do want to acknowledge her support, encouragement, and love, and that of our two daughters. I couldn't have done any of this without them. And of course, my friend since first grade, Alan Fine, who nominated me for this award, and I'm very grateful for that. And the fact that his introduction wasn't quite as bad as I feared it would be. It didn't turn into too much of a roast, but it was there. Alan and his entire family have been such an important part of my life over the last 50 years. They are really my family. And mostly, though, I want to thank all of my classmates and friends who came tonight, especially. Many of you I've not seen in years. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here with me tonight. But I also want to thank my hometown, a place that I will always have a deep connection to, no matter how far I roam. Thank you so much for this honor.
That got me so verklempt. Where's my notes?